Welcome to In Focus on this Sunday, June 15th, 2025. I'm Cheryl Wills. Early voting is now underway, and we've invited political candidates to talk about a range of issues that matter to New Yorkers, from public safety to affordability. And to ensure a fair exchange of ideas, we've addressed the same key issues with each candidate. Our guests on this Sunday, two Democrats running for mayor, Adrienne Adams and Jessica Ramos. Their message to voters happening now on In Focus. Let's begin today's conversation with Adrienne Adams. She's a Democrat running for mayor. Ms. Adams, thanks for being here.
Such a pleasure, Cheryl. Always great to be with you.
Yeah, great to see you. And we want to start with you, as we have with all of the candidates we've interviewed this election season. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing New Yorkers right now?
It has to be the housing crisis right now. We are way behind in building housing. The good news is that I've already started because I'm already doing the work. I have already championed over 120,000 new units of housing as Speaker of the City Council. I've also championed the City of City for All, where we will build upwards of 80,000 new affordable units for the people of the City of New York across all 5 boroughs. So it's not a policy that I'm looking to implement, it's work that I'm already doing.
And as you know, so many New Yorkers are moving out of town. They say it's unaffordable to live here. They can't take it anymore. What would you do if elected mayor to keep families from selling their homes and moving out of New York City?
That is the biggest thing for me personally, as an everyday New Yorker, as a mother and a grandmother who want my children to stay here, who they're actually talking about moving out of the city because it's not affordable for them. As mayor, that is a top priority for me, to make sure that New York is affordable. We have lost thousands of Black families over almost 2 decades now, leaving New York City in droves because New York City is not affordable. Working families are the priority for me. Again, I've got children with children at this point, and they don't have childcare. So we're going to have to do something about that. When I'm mayor, I'm going to make sure that there is childcare available, that we do subsidize childcare for working families. Working families are the ones that we need to stay in this city. We need for the children to stay, the generations to stay. So as mayor, I'm going to make sure that there is childcare that is available for our working parents, and they will not have that to worry about anymore. We want them to stay right here.
And as you mentioned, there is a major child care crisis in this city. What specifically would you do to make it more affordable for low-income families?
It has to be universal. There has to be universal childcare available for our working families. We know that, well, I know personally that families with small children have now gone down to one-income families. One of my own daughters actually is down to a one-income family. Her husband is working, and she had to stop working because she had to stay home to take care of the baby. Childcare is just not affordable. We're seeing it across the board, every income level. So we must make sure that child care is affordable. It has to be universal child care for all parents.
Let's pivot to public safety. Part of your campaign platform states that if elected mayor, you would use best practices instead of ideology to make New York City safer. Explain what you mean by that.
Sure. We are now looking at a deficit and vacancy in the NYPD of about 2,400 officers, that those vacancies need to be filled right now. Other candidates are talking about bringing in 5,000 and other numbers, but there's a vacancy to be filled. Cheryl, those are funded vacancies. So my plan is to be really sensible about the situation, it will be to recruit and bring in the vacancy numbers that we need in the NYPD, along with my commissioner, to make sure that number one, police officers are paid what they're worth. We're losing officers for on the force for what, 2, 3, 4 years because the pay is not enough. They can't afford to live on what they're being paid as officers. So we've got to adjust the pay scale. We also have to take them out of the mental health care and the social services work. That's not what they signed up for. We need for them to prevent crime before crime begins. Very, very sensible stuff. Let's keep our police officers in the work that they're supposed to do. Let's pay them what they're worth, and let's get those numbers up and retain them.
I want to touch quickly on federal funding. It's a major issue for nonprofits and agencies. Budgets are being cut. Many New Yorkers are feeling the hurt. Well, if elected, what would you do to fill that gap with a loss of federal funding to key agencies?
Yeah, another really good question. And again, it's not what will I do, but passing this fourth budget, the only candidate in this race that has negotiated 3 city budgets. Now we are negotiating our fourth. And I've already started to Trump-proof this city by putting aside $1.9 billion in reserves to maintain our nonprofits, to make sure that our resources are protected. We don't know what's around the corner with this administration. We don't know. But what we do know is no matter who the next mayor is, New York will keep this target on our back. And so looking ahead, I have already put aside money in reserves, and I am hoping that the administration will do even better than the city council has at this point in protecting New Yorkers fiscally.
And early voting is finally underway. What is your final pitch to New Yorkers?
Please come out and vote. Your vote counts, particularly when New York City has the ranked choice voting system. So please, I'm asking for you to rank Adrienne Adams as number one. You've got 5 opportunities to rank 5 candidates in order of your preference. Please research all of the candidates, know our backgrounds. What I would really like for you to know is that I am already doing this work as the leader of the city council. I don't need a manual. I'm ready on day one because I'm already at City Hall, already doing the work, already know the agencies, the nonprofits, the council members, and already know what's going on at City Hall firsthand because that's where I work. Please rank Adrienne Adams number one. Primary day is the 24th. Come on out and vote. You must vote.
Adrienne Adams, Democratic mayoral candidate. Appreciate your time. In Focus continues right after this. Thanks for staying with us as we count down to the primary. Joining us now is Jessica Ramos, a Democrat running for mayor. Ms. Ramos, thank you for being here. And we want to remind our viewers that we're addressing the same key issues with each candidate. So let's start here. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing New Yorkers right now?
It's good to see you again, Cheryl. Right now, New Yorkers want more money in their pockets. The economy has not been favorable to working people in a long time. That's why we want to protect renters by freezing the rent, help homeowners by addressing property tax reform, and making sure that we're working towards an economy where every New Yorker just needs one good job to be able to provide for their families, not a bunch of side hustles and part-time jobs. We want to get to a place where we can feel like there's some stability, and we haven't had that definitely at least since the pandemic. So I want New Yorkers to really consider my record, really know how effective I've been at advocating for working New Yorkers already, and how I want to use these new tools that would be at my disposal as your mayor to address our mental health crisis and make sure we're keeping our families safe.
So let's stay with affordability. You're a big proponent of office conversions, that is, turning vacant office spaces into affordable housing units. Tell us more about that.
Well, I think every crisis that we're facing is an opportunity to create jobs. I mentioned the mental health crisis. There's also, of course, the child care and elder care crisis, but the housing crisis is a big one. And we want to end chronic homelessness. So we are thinking about creating more supportive housing units. Dormitory style would be the easiest. considering converting those office buildings into residential buildings because there's a lot of DOB red tape that can get in the way. And we want to do it as soon as possible. There's a lot of ways that we can get to this. We've always relied on big tax breaks for big real estate. That's not going to be enough here. We're going to need to be able to put up some pension dollars, some taxpayer dollars to really make this a priority so we can make our shelter system obsolete.
And another part of your housing platform is the Green New Deal for public housing. Explain what that is.
Well, Cheryl, there are over 200,000 New Yorkers on the waiting list for NYCHA apartments. And right now, the city's warehousing a little more than 5,000. They're in deep need of repair. Again, another source to create jobs. And we want to make sure that we are building and repairing NYCHA for the future. Perhaps we should dream of a NYCHA where instead of having a boiler issue every winter, we're working towards geothermal and renewable energy, that we're bringing urban agriculture and, of course, childcare and senior centers to these natural occurring retirement communities and supportive housing units. There's a lot that we can do for NYCHA in spite of course, the challenges we're going to continue to see from the federal government. I know that if we enact property tax reform and do a few other things, we can find a few extra $1 billion in order to make this vision a reality.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about public safety. Your plan includes investing in policing alternatives like violence interruption programs and re-entry support to address the root of crime. How will that support law enforcement if you are elected mayor?
Yes, we need both. We need to be able to support our police officers with living wages. I think that the entry level pay is way too low. We also have to rein in overtime pay, but we can invest more in the officers themselves, not in other toys and robocops like we've seen from the current administration. I just also believe that we need to upskill EMS workers, create a pipeline for social workers and behavioral and cognitive therapists in order to truly address those who are suffering with severe mental illness. We see them displaying erratic behavior on our streets and definitely on our subway. I see it every day. And we have a responsibility to create the psychiatric beds needed at our city hospitals and long-term mental health facilities so that we are giving them the care they need and they're not a risk on the street to hurt themselves and hurt someone else. We can stop these tragedies, not take action when it's too late.
Let's quickly turn to transportation. Your campaign has outlined a plan to expand Vision Zero. So my question to you is, which neighborhoods would you target first?
Well, we've seen clusters in different parts of the 5 boroughs where it's very difficult for pedestrians to cross the street, but that's especially true when it comes to children along Northern Boulevard here in my district in Jackson Heights, Queens. We've lost just about a dozen children over the past 10 years. 2 sisters were hit by a car just this past Memorial Day weekend in Jackson Heights, and the driver just sped off, didn't even stop to see if the girls were okay. This is not okay. We need a return to Vision Zero thinking and making sure that we're enacting policy that keeps everybody safe. We want to make sure that drivers are safe. We want to make sure that e-bikes are off the sidewalks and have their own space. We want to make sure there's protected bike lanes where it makes sense. And we want to make sure that pedestrians are safe everywhere. So there's a comprehensive street design that needs to be a serious response from City Hall to the very alarming numbers that we've seen over the past few years.
And lastly, what is your final pitch to voters?
Well, I want voters to think of Jessica Ramos as the candidate for their candidate for mayor, because I've already had a desk at the mayor's office. I know what it's like to be at City Hall during a Trump administration. I won't hold back in fighting for the things that New Yorkers need. We know that we can leverage our taxpayer dollars as a donor city and a donor state so that we're not just standing up to Donald Trump, but actually fighting back in the way that it counts. And I want them to know that ranking Jessica Ramos on their ballot this June is really about electing a mayor who knows what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, just like them, who knows what it's like to be a tenant just like them. I'm a mother raising 2 teenage boys in this city. I'm deeply invested in our education, in our health system, and in carrying out a vision for a bold New York City that can continue to lead and compete in the global arena with the other greatest cities in the world. New Yorkers, we want to be proud of our city once again, block by block.
Jessica Ramos, Democratic mayoral candidate, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
In Focus continues right after this. Thanks for staying with us as we talk about the upcoming primary election. Joining us now is Mike Ryan. You've met him before, Executive Director, and Vinny Ignizio, Deputy Executive Director. They're both with the Board of Elections in the city of New York. Gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Mike, I want to start with you. Let's drill down on ranked choice voting because the confusion seems to never end, at least in the media. We interview people and they say, I don't understand what's going on. So let's start here. This is the second time for a citywide election that we're seeing ranked choice voting. Explain how it works for our viewers. Let's start there.
So you can, for the contests that are subject to ranked choice voting, which city-wide primaries and city council races are all subject to ranked choice voting, you can choose up to 5 candidates. If that office has 5 candidates, not all of them do, but certainly for mayor, you're going to have up to 5 candidates, and you can rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's really no more complex than that. I think that the voters have a firm grasp of it now. It was done in 2021. We've also done it in multiple special elections since then. I don't think it's as complicated as people think it is.
Well, at one point, you don't have to rank anybody if you don't want. If you only want to vote for one person, you can do that as well. So,
and that's what confuses some voters because they're like, well, what if I don't want to rank?
Then don't. Okay. That's just, you can pick whatever candidate you want, as many as you want, or you can pick one, or quite frankly, you could select none if you don't want to.
Mike, what happens to unranked slates?
Nothing. So, for example, if you ranked a 3rd choice and a 4th choice, your third, you ranked it under that column. Your 3rd choice would move up to round 1, and your 4th choice would move up to round 2. If you rank only 1, then you rank only 1 and you move on. You'll hear that in the parlance called a bullet vote. You're not ranking across the board. You're just going to pick one person.
So, Vinny, what happens if a voter ranks one candidate in all 5 slates?
It only counts once.
So your
vote will count once, and one time. And look, the reality is, I think people understand. If you vote for a candidate that you like, and if they're knocked out, then those results will. That's when ranked choice voting comes in. If a candidate doesn't reach 50% of the vote, then we go into the ranked choice scenario, which will be the subsequent week. July 1st is when we will run that, and then we'll be able to ultimately see how many New Yorkers place number 2, and let's see who ultimately wins the race.
And give us an early snapshot of absentee ballots so far.
So I think about 106, maybe 107,000 people have applied. We've received about 17,000 back to date. We expect more, but a lot of people request them, and then we don't see many back. And we're trying to encourage people, if you requested one and you got one, please send it back.
Okay, so take us to election night. This is always fun for us. Of course, we'll be wall to wall with live coverage. How will we know? And when will we know the winners? Tell us about the uploading of results.
So the uploading of results, which we have been doing for a long time now, I'm happy to say that New York City is in fact the gold standard, which with respect to publishing unofficial election results on election night. So we will get on election night, they remove the sticks from the machines and they begin the uploading as soon as polls close at 9 o'clock. About 5 after 9, we will publish our initial first data that'll come out. In that data will be any information from any of the poll sites, any data from any of the poll sites that have already started to upload. all of the absentee slash ballots by mail that have been canvassed by the Friday before Election Day, that'll be included in that first round. And all of the early votes will be included in that first round, which are citywide votes.
For 9 days of voting.
For 9 days of early voting. So you're going to get a pretty good cross-section of the votes and the voting patterns in that first initial data dump. What you'll be able to probably figure out on the smaller contests, maybe who the winner's going to be, even from that first one, for those people that want to hypothesize. On the citywides, it's a little bit more difficult. But as the process moves along, we'll continue to upload results. And usually around, on the big elections, usually around 10:15, we're almost done with our work for the evening. I will tell you that is a change from my time 12 years ago, where that was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, and we were right there with you.
Right, and 12 years later, I'm very glad that I get to go home and go to sleep a little bit earlier than we used to.
Everybody's going to be on bated breath, waiting to see if any candidate rises past the 50% mark, such that it doesn't go before ranked choice voting. So we'll all be watching.
Mike Ryan, Executive Director, and Vinny Ignizio, Deputy Executive Director of the Board of Elections in the City of New York. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. And now, our final focus. As Juneteenth celebrations get underway, we want to highlight an event that inspired nearly 1,000 public school students. Dancers with Jamel Gaines Creative Outlet performed at the Grace Rainey Rogers Auditorium at the Metropolitan Museum of Art for a special event called Juneteens, Brooklyn North High School's At the Met. Young people also got to see the groundbreaking exhibit called Superfine, Tailoring Black Style.
History, art, learning, intersection. We call this the world's institution. We carry the world's art, and it's just so important that young people see themselves within this art, know that the access there, the opportunity is there, and continue to build those bridges.
And in the spirit of Juneteenth, it was a real honor to share the heroic story of my Civil War veteran, great-great-great-grandfather, Sandy Wills, and give every student who was there a free copy of my latest book, Juneteenth Freedom, which tells the story of the United States colored troops who were on the scene in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865, when enslaved people learned they were finally and forever free. Hey, thanks so much for watching In Focus. I'm Cheryl Wills, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. To keep up with important issues impacting our communities and hear more conversations with the people who are shaping the future, subscribe to our channel. You can also download our app or find Spectrum News on your TV for balanced, in-depth political coverage and more. We'll see you there.